Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. And as we said earlier, we're going to be talking about the Cairo Water Week 2021, which has concluded its activities on Thursday and was hosted by Egypt. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by engineer Abdul Yehya, advisor to the Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources. A very good morning, engineer, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you.
Yes. First of all, sir, if you can shed the light on the strategic plan set by Egypt to manage the water resources till year 2037 and the importance of this strategy.
Basically, the government of Egypt faces a lot of challenges in terms of water resource availability. We have adopted the water resources strategy till the years 2050, and then we have developed the National Water Resource Plan that has 4 main pillars: developing of new water resources and enhancing the water quality, then increase the efficiency of water use, and at the end, enabling the environment. These pillars have been translated to programs and main projects, and these projects actually could cost the government of Egypt more than $50 billion, and I believe that this figure could be doubled due to expenditure rate and recent development plan.
Yes, please.
Then one of the main important projects that we have implemented during the past years, the rehabilitation of the canal. This is a huge program that we're targeting to rehabilitate more than 20,000 kilometers of canal, and shifting from the modern irrigation techniques by shifting from flood irrigation to drip and irrigation. This also increased the water use efficiency and increased the productivity of the land and saved the cost of farming for the farmers themselves.
Engineer, the importance of Cairo hosting the Cairo Water Week 2021.
Basically, we start to host the Cairo Water Week since 4 years ago, but now it became the most significant platform in the region and in Africa that gathers all the scientists and the decision makers and all other groups to share the experience and present the most updated technologies for the water use and treatment. It represents one of the most significant events for all the neighboring countries, whether in Africa or in the Arab region. And also the European countries came to share the experiences. All this contribute to the acceleration of the implementation of the SDGs.
Engineer, how do you see the efforts exerted so far to tackle the effects of climate change, and how do you evaluate the steps that Egypt has taken to achieve this target?
Basically, if we're talking about the climate change, the government of Egypt, or specifically on the specific level of the water resources, or if I'm talking about the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, we are very vulnerable to the climate change impact, whether on the sea level rise or the salt intrusion, or being susceptible to the flash flood. The ministry has taken major measures to deal with this impact. If we're talking about the North Coast, we have implementing more than 120 kilometers of coastal protection structures that preserve the monuments, the strategic structures, and all the investments along the coast. And we're targeting to construct more than also 110 structure along the coast. In terms of flash flood, we're dealing how to deal with the flash floods. We are trying to turn the threat into opportunities. We are trying to make use of every drop of water, even the amount is not that big, but it comes like in a small period of time, and it has a potential harms on the society in these areas. We have constructed more than 1,400 flash flood protection works in the Western Desert and the Eastern Desert, and the Sinai, within the North Sinai or South Sinai. All these structures have a big importance so that it diverts the flood either to the sea or we are building some block dams that accommodate all the flood that comes from the high mountains.
Engineer, do you think that there's a direct impact from the climate change on water availability or the scarcity of water?
Basically, there's uncertainty about the water availability due to climate change, but we are expecting like heat waves. The heat waves are likely to increase the water consumption. More than this, Egypt is fully dependent on the transboundary water that comes from outside the country. It's like international river, and we depend on 97% of our water that comes from outside the country. Basically, the Nile inflow is fully dependent on the amount of rainfall that falls on the upstream countries, and the climate change is one of the major key elements contributing to this amount of rainfall, because the rainfall comes from the evaporation from the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. So how the clouds are formed and how these clouds are turned to rainfall, and then the rainfall turns to runoff in the river and comes to Egypt, crossing all the other countries in the Nile Basin.
Back to the Cairo Water Week, Engineer, what were the main recommendations that came out of this important conference hosted by Egypt?
Actually, many of the good recommendations have been adopted at the last day of the Cairo Water Week, but I can tell that one of the most important recommendations is how to use all the technologies and all the innovative tools to best use of every drop of water and to achieve the sustainable use of the water management. I'm talking about the forecast centers, the early warning systems, and how to develop the water accounting units. What's water accounting units? It's like to monitor and manage every drop of water since it's released from the High Aswan Dam till the Mediterranean Sea. All the consumptions in the domestic usage, whether on the agricultural usage or the industrial usage. This is what we want to achieve, is to have the full control and monitoring of every drop of water. Actually, this is one of the most important recommendations we're seeking to apply fully on Egypt.
Also, Engineer, if you can just brief us about the main ongoing partnerships between the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources with international institutions, and the gains or the benefits that Egypt will get out of these partnerships.
Perfect. Actually, we had organized the week along with more than 50 regional and multinational organizations. We're talking about the UN agencies, we're talking about regional organizations interested in the field of water and agriculture. We have organized this week just with the partnership. They are supporting us either on the technical level or on the financial level. I was talking to you about the huge amount of investment needed for implementing the National Water Resource Plan. We're talking about initially estimates of 50 billion cubic meters, how this organization could help us in mobilizing this finance, how they could help the least developed countries and the most vulnerable countries to climate change and water scarcity. This is the main role of these agencies, and we are working closely with them on how to achieve these sustainable goals of the SDGs.
Engineer Abdul Rehim Yehya, advisor to the Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources. We really appreciate your insight, and thank you so much for joining us on the Breakfast Show. And dear viewers, by this